Hello and welcome once again to the Science of Psychotherapy podcast. My name is Matthew Darlitz, editor-in-chief of the Science of Psychotherapy. And as always, here with Richard Hill. Hi, Richard.
Hey, Matt, great to be here again. And here we are getting all engaged with our Holistic Summit series of podcasts where we've just tapped into a whole bunch of people. Now, I must say that I did not know who our next, or I haven't heard particularly before about our next guest, but she's fabulous. Tell us a bit about her.
Yeah. So we're going to go across to Canada and we're going to talk to Jan Winhall. Now, she's an author, a teacher, psychotherapist in Toronto, there in Canada. And she's also the author of a book called Treating Trauma and Addiction with the Felt Sense Polyvagal Model. So immediately, polyvagal, oh, she must know Steve Porges, and she does.
And guess what? She's doing a presentation with Stephen Porges at the summit, so that'll be fantastic. And she works very much with the body, the embodied self. And we were talking about Bonnie Badenoch the other day, who's been talking about the embodied, the felt sense. So many of these, you can see all the with the summit, the tie-ins that are coming around with the people that have come through.
Now, before we jump across to say hi to Jan, here's a word from the Holistic Recovery Summit.
If you're interested in deepening your understanding of addiction and how best to treat it, you might want to check out the Holistic Recovery Summit. This is a free online conference which brings together 35 world-leading clinical psychologists, researchers, and practitioners who will share with you their best practices for mind, body, social, and spiritual approaches to addiction treatment, enabling you to be at the forefront of evidence-based care. With a lineup including Stephen Porges, Janina Fisher, Ian McGilchrist, Pat Ogden, Anna Lemke, Stephen Hayes, Richard Schwartz, and 28 others, this really is a once-in-a-lifetime learning opportunity. The best bit is it's 100% free to attend live, and you can do so from the comfort of home. You'll also be able to upgrade to your recordings and certification pass after registration, although this is entirely optional. For more information, please check out the sign-up link in the description.
Jan, welcome to the Science of Psychotherapy podcast. It's so great to meet you.
Thank you. It's great to meet you too.
Yes, and Richard here, of course. We're like the Bobbsey twins, but we really enjoy coming together and meeting wonderful people. And we haven't met you before, yet there's so many people that you know that we know. And of course, Stephen Porges is one. And we were drawn, of course, because you're at the Holistic Summit, which is we're very excited about coming up. But your fabulous book, the Treating Trauma and Addiction with the Felt Sense Polyvagal Model. Wow, that's interesting. Jan, that's enough we've said about everything. I think really, can you just give us a bit of a fill-in? Where did you come? How did you come into this frame and then engage the polyvagal system in the biology? Your stuff is so interesting.
Well, it started over 40 years ago now, when I was working with a group of young women who were incest survivors. And the way that these women were being understood in this really traditional psychiatric model didn't fit with who I am and how I was experiencing them at all. I just came in with what I call depathologizing ears. I just listened to their experiences without DSM, without judgment, without anything. And what I learned from them is really what became the model. What I learned was that we need to go into the body to really be able to understand what is happening for people, how they're experiencing their lives. And so back then, it was really feminist therapists that were doing a lot of that work around connecting with embodiment. So I got into that whole area. And from there, I found Eugene Gendlin's work, the father of the felt sense. And I trained with Gene for about 30 years. And really it was through understanding through interoception, through understanding how we can go into the body and connect with how our bodies carry experience and carry these stuck trauma places. So that's how I kind of, the beginning piece with the felt sense. And then, of course, there were all these other wonderful, like the trauma therapists that were working with Bessel van der Kolk and all these people. And then I found Dan Siegel's work with interpersonal neurobiology, which started me into being really intrigued then with the kind of more neuroscience part. And then eventually in 2012, I guess, I went to hear Steve Porges speak. And when I heard Steve speak, I realized, oh, all that stuff back there that we were talking about with numbing and flooding and emotion and dysregulation, that's the nervous system. That's the autonomic nervous system. And we didn't really talk about it like that back then.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating how it's a coming together of all the knowledges. I mean, I know what we've done, and we call ourselves the science of psychotherapy, but we actually mean science in its true sense, which is the seeking out of knowledge and the understanding of that in the whole experience. But these beautiful things that we've done, where we've differentiated things out and found the polyvagal system, and we've found the neurobiology, we've found the sort of parts of the brain that do interoception. That's all really very interesting, and that helps us expand. But the truth of it and the sense of it is, as you say, Gentlin's work was right there, just lacked some of the technicalities. But it's the technicalities have helped. And so you've found that combining these knowledges actually expands the whole experience.
Yes, because I keep synthesizing it into how do we work with the body? How do we teach this to therapists and to clients?
And to clients, yeah.
And of course, yeah, these two natural processes in the body. So one of them is interoception, which is felt sensing, connecting into what body wisdom, what bodies know about our lives, our experience, our feelings, our troubles, our conflicts. And then the other process, of course, is neuroception. So when we connect in with how the autonomic nervous system is helping us by detecting safety and danger, and then we've got a sense of where am I in flight, fight? Am I shutting down? Where am I? And then we can work with, well, what's happening in my life and what's the felt sense of that in the meaning that I carry in my body. And those two body processes are the Felt Sense Polyvagal Model. It's a way to just bring any kind of therapy that you're already doing and bring these two embodied processes into it so that people don't get stuck in talking. You help them to pause and then notice inside, in the center of your body, what comes down in there.
Yeah, I think that's so important what you just said about the understanding of interoception and neuroception is the foundation then that can be applied and integrated into whatever modality you have a bent towards.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's foundational.
Yes, and we tried in our book, as there are others that do wonderful things as well. My mentor, the psychobiology of gene expression, but looking at, so just get a grasp of genetics, get a grasp of the gut brain, get a grasp of what these things, because they're all relevant to this body activity. And this bizarre thing, I was actually moved in one seminar. I said, you see this thing between your head and your shoulders, it's hollow and this stuff goes up and down it. And and the audience sort of went, what?
Yeah.
But this is exactly the sense. Now, I'm interested just quickly, because I said it spontaneously as you were speaking, and the client, like, certainly we're educating ourselves, but there's an enormous amount of what you do that is really the client discovering themselves, because we don't have a very body-oriented culture, do we?
We have a terribly disembodied culture. I mean, it really is a tragedy, really. It's going to kill the world, I believe, if we don't help people to find connection back to embodiment. Because I really believe that when we do, when we really do, we don't hurt people and we don't hurt the world, because we feel this intimate connection. And so, yeah, this is a terrible thing. This was part of what drew me to Gendlin's work. Gendlin was initially a philosopher. He created a whole philosophy called a process model that was all about bringing the body into intellectual development of theory.
Isn't it fascinating? It's so fascinating that we're surprised at the idea of integrating, of reintegrating. I often describe it's like a mechanic who pulls a carburetor out of a car, improves it, fixes it, makes it much better, but then doesn't put it back.
Yeah.
And you're doing exactly that. This is what I saw. I said, wow, she's putting all the parts back together again.
I have that kind of a brain that it just looks for all these different parts, and then how they integrate, how do they connect and relate to each other. This is very Gendlin too, because he talked a lot about crossing. So crossing one thing with another, but not so that it becomes mush, so that you engage with one through the lens of the other.
Well, that's lovely,
right. Yeah. Look, one of the things that we kind of get some pushback on is, well, I don't want to know all of that science stuff. You know, these words, interoception, neuroception, they sound all too highfalutin and scientific. So how do you address that? Because I think this is a bit of a roadblock for some people.
I address it by being embodied. So a lot of the people, the students that come to my trainings, they're people that may have been worried about science, have had lots of women are socialized to be afraid of. I write about this in my book. I was very intimidated by science. And I also was really turned off by traditional models of psychological research that really reduce things into what Gendlin would call a unit model of understanding something. Here's a box, put everything into the same box.
Yeah, and put a fence around it, give it 3 letters and charge you $20 to use it. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So I do it through being embodied, and then people will come and be curious about it because they can't look at me and go, well, she's just an egghead.
Right.
It's like, oh, she's somewhere where that's kind of interesting. So I'm going to just have a listen. And then when I teach those concepts, I teach them in an embodied way. So let's take the concept of neuroception, for example, this amazing unconscious detector, right? But what we do with that is we describe it, and then we go inside into, let's be curious about how your body carries this process, this wonderful, wise part of your body that's scanning and taking care of you. How beautiful is that? So then you're enlivening and embodying a concept.
Yeah.
And people come with you because they feel the integration.
Yeah. And now we also now have a language to describe that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just more, and we often sort of say people that nature doesn't use a whole bunch of different ways to fix everything. It has one fundamental set of principles that it works on, and one of the things that I say, there's that amazing time you get a bit sick, you get a cold, and the doctor says, well, there's nothing I can do for you. So the science doesn't know what to do. So you go home. You have some chicken soup, you have some simple foods, you keep quiet, you rest, you get some love and attention, and your body just does something and gets you better. And people say, and I go, there you go.
Yeah, bodies know how to do all kinds of things.
Yeah, they do.
Bodies are very wise. It's just we've lost this connection post Descartes, I guess.
Lost faith in it, and our body knows my body knows how to love somebody. My body knows how to be happy. My body knows when it's not well. Yeah.
My body knows how to give birth. I can't explain to you how I did that. My body knows how to breastfeed. I don't know how to do that. It just did it. Yeah. I remember that. It's like, oh my God, my body just did that. It's incredible. Bodies are amazing. If we if we quiet down and we pause and we take the time and help people with the fear of coming back into the body now, and especially with trauma, of course, it's not safe to be in the body.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not safe to be in the body with trauma. So, but when the thing I am so adamant about exploring, and I do explore in the conference, is that when we understand the wisdom of the body, then we understand that all of these behaviors that we're calling maladaptive, like cutting the body, for example, are actually, through a polyvagal lens, very adaptive behaviors in an unsafe context. And we'll explore that more.
Yeah, that would be, and you're having a conversation with Stephen, which is lovely.
Yeah.
And on your website, there's this little triplet of photographs of you with Stephen. You're just so happy, and we know him well. He's
amazing guy.
He's a lovely cuddly bear.
Yes,
but really quite clever. So wonderful
Fantastic.
combination.
Yeah.
And these are the combinations, Matt, that are really nice in the festival. There's a couple of these sort of paired talks, aren't there?
There are, absolutely. And so if you're interested, check out the landing page for the summit, and that'll be in the show notes. Jan, thank you so much today for dropping in and saying hi and just giving that little bit of insight. Fantastic. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing the full conversation in the summit.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And for all the people that might not know Jan all that well, she's up in Toronto, the Borden Street Clinic. And if I were in Toronto, I'd be getting into my car and I'd be going down to check it out right away, because you also do work with the Borden community, and you're quite someone of value and importance in the heartfelt sense of contributing to your community. And I just want to thank you so much for doing that over the years.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Richard.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jan. Okay. Catch you later.
Yeah. Fabulous. I'm so glad to have met her. And this idea that I think that enriches what we're saying. I think there's a lot we can add in. Maybe we've even, sometimes I listen to someone like Jan and I feel we've been too timid. We can be even more of engaging and connecting all these elements. So it's going to be a fascinating talk she's going to have with Stephen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward to it. So once again, we're talking about the Holistic Recovery Summit. So link in the show notes, it's holisticrecoverysummit.com. Check it out. It's going to be all free. It's going to be fantastic. So once again, thanks for joining us here on the Science of Psychotherapy. Richard, it's been great.
Absolutely, Matt, and we'll see everybody next time. I think we've got a few more speakers that we'll be able to grab and talk to. I look forward to that.
Okay, see you then. Bye for now.